Work hard. Be somebody. Yeah. And be something more than what you see in the mirror. Yeah. Let the world be your mirror. Don't let them judge you, because the mirror can't judge you. You judge what you see in the mirror.
What's up, YouTube? It's Terry Knight, and I'm back with another video. I'm about to be reacting to JxmyHighroller. It's called Ranking Every Current NBA Duo. About to get into this video, man. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm telling you, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. Just tap the button. It's just one tap. Come on, man. Just support a brother. Like, I'm trying to get to 1K ASAP. So yeah, subscribe for sure. Hit the like button. Share the video if you like it with your friends. Yeah, about to get into this video. JxmyHighroller. If you watch his videos before, you know his videos are interesting. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that his videos are interesting if you watch him. If it's your first time watching JxmyHighroller, just know his videos are lit. Like, his videos are interesting, thought-provoking. Yeah. So yeah, it's called Ranking Every Current NBA Duo from Best to Worst. About to get into this video.
High Rollers. Today we are ranking all 30 duos from each NBA team from best to worst. Now, I'll be using my expert insight and analysis to really get into the finer details of this ranking system. And by expert insight and analysis, I mean using my emotions and lack of relevant information to subjectively rank these duos based on how I'm feeling at the moment. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. First up, we have the Nuggets with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. If you told me a year ago that Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic would be a top 5 duo in the NBA by 2021, I would have probably laughed at you because you're a Nuggets fan, but also because I would have never expected these guys to make such a monumental leap in just one season. Jokic is the best center in the NBA. Sorry, Sixers fans, the truth hurts. And Jamal Murray just took the leap in last season's playoffs, proving that he is the perfect wingman for the Joker. These guys are the real deal. And for that, we'll put them in the great tier. Next, we have the Celtics with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is a superstar, his potential is virtually endless at the moment, and Jaylen Brown has completely blossomed into this borderline star, but his progression has been super sneaky since he's been in Jason Tatum's shadow. A super sneaky star and a legit superstar. They belong in the great tier. Next, we have the Bulls with Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen. Young, dynamic, injury-prone. Zach LaVine really showed his star potential last season. He's unquestionably the leader of this Bulls team. And although Markkanen is a solid player, after taking steps back last season, I think it's fair to put them in the at least you tried tier. Not a big fan of this duo right now, but I am a big fan of today's sponsor, Wondershare Fillmore at 10. One of the most frequent questions I get.
Fillmore is dope. I've been using Fillmore for months now. Since my second video, like second video I put out, I've been using Fillmore. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Once you learn how to use the editing program, you'll be good, because the editing is so easy with drops and stuff like that. But I'm not advertising Fillmore, so we're gonna skip this. Yeah, we'll skip this. Yeah, right there.
Irving with the Nets. Now this is an interesting duo on one lucky viewer. Now back to the video. Next we have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving with the Nets. Now this is an interesting duo. On paper, some may argue that they are the best duo in the NBA. There's no question that they are the most skilled duo in the NBA, but we have yet to see if they're individual.
Y'all let me know in the comments who's what duo is better, Anthony Davis or Kyrie, Anthony Davis and LeBron, or Kyrie and Durant. Yo, Durant and Kyrie are looking scary. Like, like, honestly, they're so efficient right now. I know it's the start of the season. Later on, when they get tired, their body starts to hurt. Like, they had a long rest and to get back into where they were before, and they're obviously as good or even better than they were before they got injured. So they're looking scary right now. If they keep on doing this throughout the year, people teams are gonna have a problem. Lakers is gonna have a problem with them too, but I don't know if I see them beating Lakers right now, but it could be a possibility. But the Lakers are solid, as you guys know. They got Wesley Matthews, all those guys. I don't have to explain that. You know, if you watch basketball, you know the Lakers are stacked, but the Nets are stacked too, and like through their bench is stacked. Their starting lineup stacked. All around they're stacked. So I don't know. They're looking kind of scary for Toronto because I live in Toronto. If you don't know, I'm kind of scared because I don't know I don't know if Toronto can handle them. Like, how are you gonna guard Kyrie and Durant and they're scoring so efficiently? Then you have Dinwiddie. Then you have Levert. Like, and there's guys on the bench that are nice too. It's like it's tough. Joe Harris can shoot the lights out. Is what it is. But
Individual dominance can translate to a cohesive 1-2 punch, so I'm a bit indifferent about them at the moment. Why do I get this feeling that the Nets will either make the finals or they'll implode halfway through the season and decay into a toxic mess? Like, literally no in between. Those are the only two possible outcomes. I know we haven't seen them play together yet, but anything less than great would be tragic.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Hawks with Trae Young and John Collins. So, with the Hawks, you could easily pair Gallinari with Trae as their best duo, but since they haven't actually played with each other yet, I chose John Collins. I think this duo is really going to surprise some people this year. Last season, they only played about half the season together, so of course their record doesn't actually reflect their ability to play together, but both of these dudes are young and have a game suited for where the league is heading. So for now, they're average. Next, we have the Hornets with Devontae Graham and Gordon Hayward. I was tempted to put LaMelo as one of the players in Charlotte's duo, but in an effort to not be unbelievably disrespectful, I'm going to hold off on that. Both Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier were the only silver lining in an underwhelming...
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to put Devontae Graham over Terry Rozier. Like, they both are averaging 18 points a game, but most people would say Devontae Graham's better now. But I think people are just like basing that off of like the shock factor because this guy was averaging like 4 points the year before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't anywhere close to 18 points. To 18 points the next year, and he's just going to work. But I feel like people expect this from Terry Rozier. So yeah, Terry Rozier. I really feel like he was playing well, and people are expecting that from him. But Devontae Graham was doing the same thing basically, but he was I don't know, he just looked like he was better on the court, but like from stats wise and seeing Terry Rozier's game, I don't see a big difference between them. Like I feel like they're like on the same level, so I don't know if you can put one over the other right now. I would have to see how both of them play this year, but I feel like both of them on the court together is like they work well together. They can both score equal amount when they're on the court together. But I don't know. I don't know who I would say this is top two on their team. Like I feel like I would automatically put Hayward up there, but Hayward still has a lot to prove after his injury. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments who's better, Devontae Graham or Terry Rozier, because I'm not sure. Like I don't know if I can say Devontae Graham's better right now. Like when I saw his highlights, I was tempted to say that he was like he's better than Terry Rozier, but then again, like Terry Rozier is, if you actually watch him play, like you can't really say Devontae Graham's better. But I don't know. Someone tell me in the comments what they think.
Hornets team last season, but now that we'll hopefully see a healthy Gordon Hayward with the team, I don't think it's a stretch to say that he'll step in as one of the best players on the team. Oddly enough, even this is probably the best duo Charlotte's had in years, and somehow it still falls short of average. That sounds really messed up. I mean no harm, it's just my take on the situation. They've got a case of the at least you tried. Next we have the Cavaliers with Colin Sexton and Andre Drummond. Not much to say here. Sexton is another up-and-coming player that has shown promise, but unfortunately he plays for the Cavaliers. So,
Yeah.
And Drummond, well, there's just something about Drummond that just doesn't get it done for me. I don't know why. Dude puts up awesome numbers year after year, but it never seems to translate to any success for his team. So unfortunately, they will fall in the disappointed face using a colon and a / tier. Super catchy title, right?
I feel like Drummond, like, in order for him to win on a team, he has to have someone that's a superstar on his team. Like, he has to have a superstar next to him for his team to do well. Because he's going to put all those numbers up, but he's not like someone that's going to lead the pack and lead a team to a championship. He's not that type of player. He's gonna need another superstar to complement his game. Like he's gonna need like a Luka, or he's gonna need like Kawhi or a LeBron, like one of those guys. Like with Colin Sexton's an up and coming NBA player. Like he's not there yet. Like he's playing well. He's developing. We know his ceiling's really high, but he's not there yet. So he would need to be around a superstar, maybe even more than that. But yeah, the way the NBA is looking right now, I don't know. But if he had a LeBron, if he had a Kevin Durant, if he had Luka, maybe he would do something and get some wins. But yeah, he's not that type of player that would be the main guy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know. Next, we have the Mavericks with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. In the latest edition of Mark Cuban's fetish for foreign players, Luka and Porzingis, the dynamic duo of the future, it's kind of looking that way. Luka is on pace to being one of the greatest players of all time, and a healthy Porzingis is an absolute menace. Honestly, one of the more underrated duos in the NBA right now, and although they haven't accomplished a lot yet, I'm going to put them in the great tier. Next, we have the Pistons with Blake Griffin and LiAngelo Ball. Could you imagine?
Why is he trolling?
No. Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose. The tale of two ungodly athletic players from the last decade who have gracefully adjusted their game after a laundry list of injuries. 8 years ago, this duo would be enough to contend for a title. But it's not 2012. And as much as I'm rooting for these two, there's just too much young talent in the league right now for them to really make a meaningful impact. But at least they tried. Next, we've got the Warriors with Stephen Curry and Andrew Wiggins. I really wanted to add Kelly Oubre with Steph. I really feel like he's going to make the leap this season, but I just put Andrew Wiggins. I don't know. He's there. What are you going to do about it? So if Steph Curry is...
Let me state something obvious. Andrew Wiggins is better than Kelly Oubre. If you think otherwise, then you don't know basketball. Kelly Oubre is nice, but he's not better than Andrew. Come on now. You don't have to explain. You don't have to explain anything about that. If you know basketball, there's nothing to be said. Andrew Wiggins is better than Kelly Oubre, meaning he's the second best player right now. Like he's not shooting the ball well, but if you know basketball and you know what he has done before, you know he's better than Kelly Oubre, 100%. So.
Well, Steph Curry, then Andrew Wiggins is the anti-Steph Curry. I'd like to explain why that is, but in an effort to not waste time, I'll just let you ponder over that contrast. Curry is still the best point guard in the NBA, and Andrew Wiggins could possibly complement his game with his ability to create his own shot and space the floor. I also can't imagine Curry not elevating Wiggins' game as well, so they land in the good tier. Next, we've got the Rockets with James Harden and John Wall. So I'd like to go into detail on why I think this duo has a shot at being extremely productive and cohesive, but due to his addiction with strip clubs, Harden probably won't be with the Rockets for much longer. And it's a shame. John Wall, or at least what we last saw of him, is the perfect point guard for a player like Harden. Sure, Wall doesn't have much of an outside shot, but as a backcourt, they've got size, scoring ability, they could both create their own shot and create offense for their team, and if John Wall is even half the defensive player he was before his injuries, the Rockets will have a great perimeter defensive presence to offset Harden's lack of defense. But there are just far too many contingencies on this duo to merit a great tier ranking, so they fall in the good tier. Next, we've got the Pacers with Domantas Sabonis and TJ Warren. This is another one of those duos where I wasn't really sure who to put. Sabonis is definitely the best player on the Pacers, but you could either...
I mean, Victor Oladipo, I know TJ Warren played really well in the bubble. I don't know, man. I would. Victor Oladipo is still he could still play. Like he could still play. I wouldn't say TJ Warren is better than Victor Oladipo. But then again, I guess you got to use like what's recent and how well TJ Warren has been playing. So I guess you'd put TJ Warren over Oladipo. But they just started the season. I'm not sure how TJ Warren is playing, but I know that Oladipo is playing good recently. So we'll see. I guess I have to watch more of the Pacers, but like I can't say that Victor Oladipo is not better than TJ Warren. I actually think, like, I know that Victor Oladipo is better than TJ Warren. Like, I know. No one can tell me different until TJ Warren shows me different. Because he, like, in the bubble, he played well. Those a couple of games, but I feel like he'd have to do that consistently. Because before that, Oladipo was consistently putting in that work when he was on Pacers before his injury. So, I mean, I guess I have to watch more of Indiana to see what. Right now, I cannot say that TJ Warren is better than him. I can't.
Add TJ Warren, a healthy Victor Oladipo, or Malcolm Brogdon as the second of the pair. But for now, I put TJ Warren.
Okay.
Domantas
So
Sabonis might just be the most underrated player in the entire league right now.
Yeah,
He's
he
an
is.
absolute unit down low. I know the Pacers don't get a lot of nationally televised games, but when you guys get the time, watch this man Sabonis ball. One of the last true big men in the NBA. And TJ Warren just reincarnated prime Michael Jordan for 2 weeks in the bubble, so this duo really has an opportunity to capitalize in the East.
He went
but
crazy
we'll have to
in the
see
bubble.
how things unfold for this duo, and in the meantime, they warrant an average tier rating. Next, we have the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So after their lackluster play in the playoffs last season, I really don't know where to rank Kawhi and PG. On paper, this duo honestly looks like the perfect 1-2 punch. But here in reality, they got drop-kicked out of the playoffs by a younger, more versatile duo in Denver. I'm not sure if this duo's performance in the playoffs was just a fluke or what. Kawhi is still a top 5 player in the league, and Paul George is... well, at this point, I don't really know. For now, I want to put them in the good tier, but, I mean, come on, they're still great.
Yeah,
next, we have the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now,
I'm going to say it. They're still great. They're still great. Paul George had a bad series. I know he doesn't get a pass for that, but I still feel like they're a great duo. Are they going to do anything this year? We don't really know because Denver's getting better and Denver's scary. Like, really scary. Like, their bench, what Porter can do. If they end up using Bobo, it might be wraps for everybody. So, like, we don't know. But, yeah, I would still say they're a great duo.
Much to say here. Going into last season, they were headlined as the best duo in the NBA, and both AD and LeBron backed up the hype by delivering a championship in their first season together. Expect more of their...
Deadline tomorrow, and your computer just crashed. It's switching time to a Chromebook that protects you from security threats online. Switch to built-in virus protection. Switch to Chromebook.
Their dominance this season, they're absolutely goated. Next up, we have the Grizzlies with Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. So with the Grizzlies, I was really tempted to pick Ja Morant with Jonas Valanciunas, but because of their incredible upside as a duo going into the season, I really like the potential of Ja Morant with Jaren Jackson Jr. Both of some of these other duos, they still have work to do, so we'll put them in the average tier. Next up, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo with the Heat. After a finals appearance last season, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo both proved their star status and earned a title as one of the league's premier duos. Jimmy and Bam are pretty much what we thought Kawhi and PG would be. They check off every box and are honestly a great example of players whose numbers don't reflect their true value. I really want to put them in the GOATed tier, but considering they're the watered-down version of LeBron and AD, they will go in the great tier. Next, we've got the Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton. So here's a riddle for you guys. What do you get when you have a back-to-back MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year paired with an All-Star? Any guesses? You get a second-round exit. It's hard to really get an idea of just how good the Giannis-Middleton duo is, since they've spent the last 2 seasons literally racking up the most wins in the NBA, but then turn around and lose in the playoffs in ugly fashion. But they're both in their primes and have the talent.
It's like I can't trust Milwaukee because they always win in the season, but gets to the playoffs and always lose. Like, it sucks, but it's what it is. It's like they can't play in the playoffs. So, like, I don't know. I don't know what to think. They're gonna win all these games, and what they get to do in the playoffs. The only way that I would see like Milwaukee being a team that can go to the finals is if they can just get over that hump of just choking in the playoffs. So, is what it is.
To still make multiple deep playoff runs. So off to the good tier they go. Next, we have the Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. Now that D'Angelo Russell is playing in Minnesota, where great players go to watch their careers dwindle away, I'm excited, but also completely unsure of how he'll pair up with Karl Anthony Towns. Sure, their production will be through the roof, and in terms of talent, this duo ranks among the very best. But if last season showed us anything, it's that talent alone doesn't win games. Or at least games that matter. Talented, but as a duo, average. Next, we've got the Pelicans with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Leading the Pelicans, the Brandon Ingram-Zion Williamson duo will more than likely surprise a lot of fans on how good they'll be this season. If Zion can stay healthy, and with the way Brandon Ingram is taking leaps and bounds to star-level ability, this duo isn't up to par with the best in the NBA, but in terms of young duos, they're one of the best pairs in the league.
Tough.
Now we just have to see them on the court simultaneously for more than like 15 minutes at a time. Average.
No. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson is not an average duo. They didn't do well last year because Zion was injured most of the year. So half of the year actually. So I still wouldn't put them. I understand why he would put them in the average tier because they didn't do well, but Zion was injured. But we have to see what they're going to do this year. That would really determine if they're average or really good. Honestly, I would put them in the great tier just from like seeing, like I know what they're capable of doing, so I feel like I would put them in the great tier. But right now, you would probably just put them in the average because they haven't done much yet. So as far as wins.
Just gonna...
No way.
Yeah. Next, we've got the Thunder with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Al Horford. So due to Sam Presti trading anything and everything the Thunder had going for them in exchange for 32,000 draft picks, I honestly don't even know who the duo in OKC is. Obviously Shai, who will probably end up snagging most improved player next season since he'll have to carry this team if they want to find any success, but I guess you could say SGA and Al Horford is their best duo, in which case this duo is underwhelming. And let's all just pray that those picks materialize into actual players that will lead this franchise into the next chapter. But hey, at least they tried. Next, the Magic with Nikola Vucevic and Evan Fournier. So I've always believed that just like a lot of things in life, the NBA is a story of the haves and the have-nots. I'm sure you can all assume which category the Magic fall into. Which is crazy considering they just made the playoffs last season. But for most of the mid-level and even low-level teams in the NBA, there's some sort of movement going on, whether it's rebuilding or new hirings, anything that just shows growth. In the Magic's case, I don't know if they're growing right now. And although I think Vucevic and Fournier are good players, I'm not sure if I could conjure up a less interesting duo in the NBA at the moment. Strictly because they led their team to the playoffs, I will grant them an average tier ranking. Next, the 76ers. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, the duo you could have sworn would have accomplished something by now, but hasn't. Two top 20 players in the NBA who at any moment can look like the second coming of Shaq and Penny, or just two talented players that just can't seem to put it all together. When they're both healthy, which is already a stretch of a statement, Simmons and Embiid are lethal. So I'm reluctant to do it, but they're great.
They're great, yeah.
Next, we have the Suns with Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
That's what it is, they're great.
I'm tempted to put DeAndre Ayton with Booker as the duo in Phoenix, but with the arrival of Chris Paul, I'm going to take a wild guess and say the majority of the Suns' production will come from these two creating on offense, and with Booker only getting better and CP3 discovering the fountain of youth, these two are going to mix things up in the West. Chris is the perfect player to complement Booker's game, so this duo could be a great example of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts, but until we see their chemistry on display, they fall into the good tier. Next, the Trailblazers with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum.
Put them in great.
I'm going to be honest, brothers. How many times are we going to see this duo coming into the season before we realize this just ain't it? If Booker and CP3 are an example of the whole being greater than the sum, then Lillard and McCollum are on the opposite end of the spectrum. Dame has been a superstar for about a half a decade now, and CJ is one of the best scoring weapons in the NBA, which might be the most entertaining show in all of basketball. But their team's success falls solely on Dame, which makes you reconsider CJ's impact when it matters most. This tandem is good. Next, we have the Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield.
I don't know if I'm biased because those are like one of the two best, my favorite players, like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They're one of my favorite players, so I will put them in great, even though they don't really win much. They do. They make it to the playoffs, but like they're in the West. Come on, they're in the West. If they win the East, they would go a lot farther. I know they would have gone a lot farther. They would have gone to at least the Western Conference Finals. Eastern Conference Finals if they're in the East. So I would say they're great, to be honest. It's just they're in the West, and the West is stacked. So it's what it is.
Good, not great. Solid, but nothing to really get you excited. Unless you're a Kings fan, in which case I offer you my condolences.
Oh, okay.
Fox may just make the leap this season, and Buddy has really progressed over the last couple years, but when a duo like Lillard and McCollum is only good for the 8th seed in the playoffs, you have to be realistic about the ceiling of this backcourt duo. So we'll put Fox and old Buddy in the average tier. Next, we've got the Spurs with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. The Spurs, unquestionably the most boring organization in the NBA since Tim Duncan retired and Kawhi did the dash on them. With their best duo made up of DeRozan and Aldridge, I can't help but to see the resemblance these two share with the franchise over the last few years. Good, productive, solid. That's it. That's the extent of my evaluation. Average. Next, the Raptors with Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry. Siakam and Lowry were tested last season as they tried to fill the Kawhi Leonard-sized hole in Toronto, and although they were unsuccessful, I'm glad to see that NBA fans are now realizing how valuable Lowry is, and Siakam will hopefully learn from his experience as the guy on a championship contending team. Siakam and Lowry are a good duo with a pair of rings. Next, we have the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Although the Jazz were bounced out of the playoffs in heart-wrenching fashion, last season Donovan Mitchell proved to be one of the league's most elite offensive players.
The only reason why I wouldn't say they're a great duo because how Siakam played in the playoffs. But if Siakam would have played how he played in the season, they would have been a great duo. So, it is what it is. But I think they'll end up being a great duo by the end of the year. If Siakam keeps on shooting the way he's shooting the rest of the season. So, yeah.
And he played huge in huge moments. Combine that with Rudy Gobert's game, which is centered around being one of the league's most elite defensive players, and the duo in Salt Lake City is one of the best in the NBA. So good for them. Literally. And last but not least, we got the boys out in DC. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, one of the most talented duos in the NBA. Acquiring Westbrook has granted Washington a one-way ticket to the playoffs.
I would say they're
that
great duo.
I'm certain of. And in terms of production and entertainment, I could be wrong. But can someone explain to me how if the Westbrook-Harden experiment didn't work, why anyone would think the Westbrook-Beal experiment would? As unbelievably electric as this duo will be, it's a shame they'll get bounced in the second round of the playoffs this season. Just good enough to be good enough. So there you have it. All 30 NBA duos from each team and how they stack up according to me. But that wraps up this video. Make sure to leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Who is the best duo in the NBA right now, and where do you think some of these premier duos stack up? Feel free to flame my rankings. I'm sure in a few days there will be another blockbuster trade, and half of this information will be irrelevant anyways. So until then, enjoy. And as always, until next time.
Alright, so that's it for the video, man. This video was interesting. I think, in my opinion, I think some of it was correct. But Anthony Davis and LeBron, obviously, they're the best duo in the NBA. Then Siakam and Lowry, they'll probably end up being a great duo by the end of the year if Siakam plays well in the playoffs.